Hi, my name is Morgan Cowen, and today I'm talking about secondary dominants. So have you ever been writing or listening to music and wondered how this sound is achieved? Or maybe that is a secondary dominant. Well, to talk about secondary dominants, I have to cover dominants first. So what is a dominant chord? It's built on the 5th scale degree. That could either be just a regular 5 chord or a 5 major minor or dominant 7. So what does that mean? It leads you to a tonic. It has a T-do or a leading tone. So you have a big pull to a resolution chord. So you have... You'll notice that if I were to play that first chord without resolving it, in fact, I'll change the key so that you can really understand. If I play that first chord without resolving it, you can still hear where it's supposed to resolve to because it has such a pull. Did you hear it in your head? So then what's a secondary dominant? Secondary dominants borrow a different dominant from a different key to resolve you to a different tonic or a different one. Kind of just redefining it for a little bit. You're not completely modulating to a different key, but you're kind of just like making the ear think there's a different tonic for a little bit. So what does this sound like in practice? Dolly Parton's 9 to 5 is a really good example. They'll just use your mind and they'll never give you credit. It's enough to drive you crazy if you let it. That big pull chord is actually a G sharp 7. The original key of this song is F sharp. So you're using a major dominant 7 2 to lead you to a 5. So then how do you write this in Roman numerals? This is that Dolly Parton's progression as we just heard it. So this G sharp 7 is your secondary dominant. So as you see, I've already written major 4 and major 5. So every secondary dominant you hear is going to start like this. Unless it's not a 7, then the 7 wouldn't be there. Either way, you have this. Then you'll have parentheses, and this is asking where it comes from. It's not based on the note itself, more so where it comes from. It's like, this is Jesus of Nazareth. So, where is it coming from? Well, in the key of F sharp, which is the original key of this song, tonic, second. So it is a second. And since this is a major G sharp 7 chord, we would write it like this. So then how do you write this in Nashville numbers? Nashville numbers are less concerned about where it's coming from than just calling it what it is. So again, you'd have a 4 and a 5 here. But what is this? Well, it's just, it would be a major 2, dominant 7. That then kind of begs the question, what would this chord progression sound like if you just used the diatonic chord? It would still work, but it wouldn't have nearly the same amount of pull that the original chord progression does. It just doesn't have the same sort of pull, and you feel more of a pull from 5 back to 1 than you would if you played it this way. But like I just said, why is it when you play it diatonically, why is it that you feel such a pull from 5 to go back to 1 than if you did? Well, that's because there's a tonicization of 5 in this key, because you feel like you've already resolved, because this has such a pull here. Are there any examples that aren't like this? There are plenty. One really good example of this is that super old song, Mr. Sandman by the Chordettes. It has a progression like this. You're in the original key of A, and then it goes to a G sharp 7, then to a C sharp 7, which pulls you then to an F7, then to a B7, to an E7, back to finally your 1. A good example of this chord progression would be like a... Anyway, so that is a secondary dominant. It is a chromatic chord taking a dominant 7 from a different key to redefine a tonic. They are really awesome. They're in a bunch of different songs, and I love them a lot. Anyway, thank you for watching, and goodbye.